On May 3rd, 2011, Cartoon Network released the very first episode of one of the most creative and recognizable animated series of all time, The Amazing World of Gumball. People really like this show, it's actually pretty funny, so then why am I making this video? Well, turns out even the best TV shows ever have to have a worst episode, which is why today I'll be taking a look at The Amazing World of Gumball's worst rated episode ever. I'm here to find out if this literal trash can of an episode tarnishes Gumball's reputation, or if it's actually not even really that bad. Oh, and it might also be legitimately terrifying and filled with actual nightmare fuel. Seriously, whose idea was this? You'll see what I mean. I've only ever watched like 2 Gumball episodes ever, to be honest. Okay, so there's no bias here or anything. I'll strictly be looking at the worst rated episodes there is. With season 7 being announced earlier this year, I know a lot of fans are super excited to watch some new episodes, but for now, you have to deal with me. I'll do my best. So today, I'll be explaining everything that happens in this bad episode in depth, while also giving a rookie's perspective on what I think about the show. Also, as I usually do, I'll actually be watching the 2 lowest rated episodes in this video, since every episode is only around 12 minutes long, and I'd like for this video to be longer than my average Dark Souls boss encounter. I'm already dead? Are these episodes really as bad as people say they are? Do you think these episodes ruin Gumball's reputation by lowering the quality standard? Well, grab your copy of Wind Waker for the Nintendo GameCube to find out, because it's time to watch what some people call the episode that ruined Gumball. Real quick, I have no sponsor for this video, so simply liking the video would mean the world to me. Seriously, thank you guys so much for supporting me in every way possible. On to the video. This first episode is called The Kiss. It's actually the 3rd lowest rated episode ever, not the 2nd, but I actually already covered the 2nd lowest rated episode by chance in an earlier video, so go check that out if you care at all. The worst episode ever, though, will definitely be in this video, okay? Don't worry, we're all gonna suffer together. Our story begins at the Watterson family's house. Turns out mom and dad are leaving for a bit, so the kids are staying home under the supervision of Grandma JoJo. In case you don't know, this is Gumball, this is Darwin, and this is Anais. They're all siblings, I think, so because of all this, we don't get to see Nicole and Richard too much in this episode, which is very sad, actually, because although he's a pink rabbit, Richard is also low-key the goat.
Richard, those go in the trunk. That's the gas tank.
I love Richard, man. He's so brainless, but you gotta respect him anyway, because he's got heart, you know? Gumball's a little nervous for his grandma to come over, because she has a habit of kissing all the kids on the cheek when she does. So before Nicole leaves, Gumball actually tells her that he doesn't want his grandma JoJo to kiss him on the cheek anymore, because he's too old for that now, apparently. Some grandmas are just like that, dude. Okay, you're gonna have to deal with it. Nicole and Richard pack their car in world record pace because they want to avoid getting kissed themselves, and that's when we see her. Grandmother Joanna arrives. Why does the scene go on for so long? So this is the moment that the entire episode revolves around, by the way. This episode is called The Kiss, and I don't see any chocolate anywhere, so we're out of luck, it seems. Granny JoJo kisses Anais on the cheek. Everything is fine. She then kisses Darwin on the cheek. Everything is still fine. She then goes to kiss Gumball on the cheek, but for whatever reason, Gumball starts talking as soon as she's about to go in, so she accidentally kisses him on the mouth. This is probably the worst thing that could ever happen to a 12-year-old boy, excluding dying in Fortnite, of course. But yeah, Gumball gets a big smooch on the lips, and then Factory resets his entire existence from the embarrassment. The thing is that everyone here doesn't really seem to care. Like, even the grandma doesn't react at all. The siblings don't think anything of it. Gumball is just there making weird noises for a while. Once everyone gets back inside, I should mention that Anais is doing her best to bring Granny JoJo's suitcase upstairs. She ends up dropping it, and of course, the old granny clothes end up landing on Gumball. Her fake set of teeth also end up in Gumball's mouth somehow, which I think is actually more gross than the kiss a minute ago, but tomato, tomato, I suppose. So at this point, it's clear that Gumball is in distress. He's kind of freaking out internally and should probably viciously brush his teeth ASAP, which is when Darwin suggests that Gumball should go to his happy place. We've all heard that expression before. A happy place is just a place you think of that just makes you happy, obviously. The problem here, though, is that Gumball doesn't really seem to have a happy place. He just can't think of one, I guess, is the joke. Darwin shows off his own happy place so we can see what that's all about. In this instance, it's a very literal place, by the way. Darwin's happy place just seems to be real life, but everyone around him is happy, I guess. There's a happy tree, there's some happy garbage. There's even a guy breaking into a car that's like really happy to be there.
Hey, dangerous criminal.
Oh, hey, Darwin.
Don't mind me, I'm just causing thousands of dollars in damages for your neighbor. So yeah, everything in this so-called happy place is just super friendly, albeit a little cursed at times.
I just eating a kebab. I got
This is when two butterflies land on Darwin's hand and remind Gumball of his grandmother and the kiss they shared earlier. Scary stuff right here. I'm legitimately terrified. Gumball eventually realizes that he just doesn't have his own happy place, so he's probably just gonna suffer with his anxiety and embarrassment for the rest of his life. I've said it before, but this is extremely relatable. Good job, TV show devs. Checking in on Anais now, and she's still trying to get Granny JoJo's suitcase up the stairs. She's having a real hard time. What could Grandma possibly have in this thing? It weighs like 300 pounds. Some cartoon shenanigans happen, and the suitcase flies outside, trapping Gumball in it for the next 30 hours. Sounds like a Mr. Beast video or something. Poor Gumball. But seriously, everything Gumball does after this point reminds him of the kiss. All jokes aside, he definitely has some sort of trauma. It's almost like he's having constant panic attacks, which is pretty crazy, honestly. They do that Inception thing where he wakes up from a nightmare, but then it ends up being another nightmare, so he wakes up again from that nightmare. It's all very simple and easy to follow. Also, Darwin sleeps in a tiny fishbowl. Apparently, like I said, I'm pretty new to this show, so I don't understand everything, but doesn't this seem kind of weird? Like, I get that Darwin's a fish, but does that mean he can just breathe underwater all the time? And like, that bowl seems pretty small for him. Surely he'd want a bigger bowl. Can they not just get like a bigger bowl for him or something? Is he forced to sleep in there maybe? Maybe the parents want him to sleep in the bowl. I don't know. Who knows? Man, I'm not a fish. I don't know. So it's the next day now, and in an effort to help Gumball forget the worst moment of his life, Darwin sets up some sort of public physical therapy session. And yes, it's as bad as you think it's gonna be. Essentially, Gumball is forced to run through this over-the-top obstacle course, and the idea is that he'll be so busy focusing on not dying that he'll just forget about what happened one day earlier. I'm not sure if that's how memories work usually, but what do I know? I'm just the guy who sucks at video games. No! I just lost everything, dude. Gumball runs super fast. He jumps into a pile of garbage. He covers himself with snail goo. This one's really weird. And these things actually do get his mind off the kiss. But the problem with all of this is that after every physical activity Gumball does, Darwin asks him if he forgot about the kiss, which in turn makes him remember about the kiss, obviously. It's like when someone says that you're manually breathing, or that your tongue doesn't fit in your mouth, or that you have an itch on your back. I'm trying to fit as many of these as possible to make you guys uncomfortable. You lost the game.
The sounds of suffering.
Oh no. Oh no, I don't like that at all. Oh, that's not good. I did not like that at all. The session ends with Gumball being pushed in between some giant toe fungus. I'm not kidding. And then in the end, he actually does forget about the kiss somehow. So I guess if you ever have a bad experience and want to forget about it, just do something even worse and you should be fine. What a good message. Back to Anais. Remember her? I hope I'm saying her name right. She finally got the suitcase up the stairs, but in true frustrating cartoon fashion, Granny JoJo asks for it to be brought back down because she's actually leaving any minute now. How unfortunate.
Now bring it back down. My bus will be here any minute.
Why is this so scary? It feels like there's gonna be a jump scare or something. Jeez. Gumball is celebrating, which is kind of weird, since if he doesn't remember the kiss, he'd have no reason to celebrate forgetting about the kiss, but whatever. Grandma JoJo gives Anais a kiss on the cheek. She then gives Darwin a kiss on the cheek. You can probably tell where this is going. Gumball is about to get his own kiss on the cheek, when of course, he turns his head slightly and gets a kiss on the lips from his grandmother again. What the f was the point of this? And that was the second lowest rated Gumball episode ever. I won't be too harsh on it because it's obviously just harmless fun, but it's also this weird thing where they actually do talk about trauma and therapy in the dialogue of this episode. The whole premise is a little weird, like your grandma kissed you on the lips. Okay. Then out of nowhere, it's about finding happiness, which doesn't seem to exist. And then after that, it's about getting over some traumatic events. On paper, it seems like a weird idea for a kid show, to be honest, but who cares? That one Richard scene was funny, right? And listen, I'll talk more about this episode at the very end because it's now time to watch the actual worst rated episode in Gumball history. This lowest rated episode ever is called The Girlfriend. Half of you are thinking that this episode can't be that bad, and the other half just smacked their head against their desk. This episode begins at school with a character named Jamie. To add a bit of context, Jamie is basically the school's bully and is described to be mean-spirited, sadistic, and actually crazy. Having a full episode based around this one character that no one likes is surely a good idea. Did she just eat that guy's head? That has to be like assault or something. There's no way, right? Side note, I didn't really mention this earlier, but the mix of styles in this show is really cool. This is unrelated to this episode specifically, and I'm saying it pretty deep into this video, which is probably a bad idea, but I like the mix of real world elements with multiple different art styles. It's very unique, actually. It's just cool how everything kind of looks different, I think. I'll give it a +1 epicness on the Darzii chart, whatever that is. Anyway, yeah, Jamie is bullying everyone and is the most unpleasant person in the entire world, which is when she realizes that she's actually being a mean person and that she wants wants to be more caring of others. What better way to do this than to find a love partner? I'm not kidding. Yeah, Jamie's whole shtick this episode is that she needs to find a boyfriend so that she can learn to love people. It's very sweet and not awkward at all. Just trust me. Anyway, skipping ahead, at one point, Jamie just so happens to be sitting next to Darwin. So of course, Darwin is the lucky guy that gets to now be in a committed relationship with a toxic partner at just 10 years old. That's like 50 years old in goldfish years. So honestly, he should be ready for this. So Jamie decides that Darwin is her new boyfriend and the two go on about their day. After a quick pep talk from Gumball, Darwin thinks the best plan of action is to just play along with Jamie's relationship, but also making sure not to say anything about it. So yeah, that's the story. Jamie forces Darwin to be her boyfriend, and then everyone else is just like, that's weird. The next day, we're back at school, and simply ignoring Jamie is actually going pretty well for Darwin.
Rule 1. If you ignore me...
Jamie just threatens everyone all the time. Where are the teachers in this school? This next scene is actually pretty funny. Jamie hands Darwin a gift, and inside it is just another gift. But the second gift is actually meant for Jamie herself. So Jamie explains that she got Darwin the gift of giving. It's actually pretty clever. I don't know, it's really funny. Funnily enough, in the end, Jamie just doesn't like the gift that's inside the box. So she hits a 9-hit combo on the locker next to her. It's pretty epic. And I will say, even though everyone involved is either super angry or super terrified, Jamie is still super adamant on continuing the relationship and changing for the better. She even blows Darwin a kiss and really tries to change her attitude. Later that day, during lunch, Jamie sits in between Darwin and Gumball. If I was Gumball here, I would run away at Mach 10 speed, but it's his call, I guess. But then, this is when Gumball and Darwin have a quick meeting under a cafeteria table. Gumball advises Darwin to get the hell out of there while he still can, but Darwin has a much more optimistic way of looking at the situation. It's clear to Darwin that Jamie just needs to learn to love herself, and he's playing along for now in hopes that she'll get tired of chasing him and maybe learn a valuable lesson along the way. You can tell Darwin has never played a Bloons tower defense game a day in his life. No one waits it out. Everyone clicks the fast forward button. Come on, Darwin, just get on with it.
Something more like this.
What the hell is that? That's so cursed. Oh my god. Is that Ariana Grande? There's also this scene where Jamie and Darwin are just staring at each other for a solid 10 seconds without saying a single word. It's super weird. It makes me feel very uncomfortable. Jamie gets in a fight and makes some gorilla noises, as you do. Later in gym class, she starts lifting an entire treadmill for fun. She's honestly kind of just a psycho. And then Richard shows up. His appearance here isn't really that important, and it just pads the runtime, to be honest. But I've already said that he's the best character in the entire show, so I'm obligated to give him a mention here. Even later, in class now, again, without a teacher, this might not be an actual school, Jamie realizes that Darwin is always with Gumball. So in an effort to grow as a person, instead of getting mad or something, Jamie decides that she's gonna date Darwin and Gumball at the same time. What could go wrong? So all three of them are now in this weird love triangle, except it's more like a game of Subway Surfers, if anything, since Gumball and Darwin are just trying to run away the entire time. Gumball has this weird vision where he sees himself and Darwin marrying Jamie and taking care of her for the rest of their lives. Also in this vision, they also have a bunch of kids for some reason. Let's not read into that too much. But this is when Gumball says F it and straight up just runs away. And what happens next is this chase scene straight out of Dead by Daylight. It also kind of reminds me of The Shining because Jamie is really sinister in this and just acts like really creepy. Like you definitely get the vibe she's just gonna kill someone one day, or at least eat their head again. Gumball running in a dark hallway mixed with the camera shake, mixed with the random jump scare sound effects. This entire scene is huge nightmare fuel, like especially if you're on the younger side watching this. Like if this episode came on instead of Scooby-Doo when I was a kid, I probably would have been actually really scared. I mean, partly because I was a little baby, but also this shit is straight up terrifying.
Please help me.
Anyway, eventually, when Gumball is in tears and screaming, Jamie comes to her senses and just gives up on hurting him or whatever. She was holding a bat at one point, which I could only assume she would have used to hit him with very hard. Jamie explains that forcing someone to be her boyfriend just isn't right. She over-explains herself here because there's nothing funnier in a kid's cartoon than using big words that kids never use. What a sensational concept. She goes on this spiel about what love truly is. And I gotta mention this real quick. I'm just noticing now how much Jamie sounds like Awkwafina. I don't know, she has that iconic raspy pitch that I'm hearing. I just thought that was funny. Like, it's probably not her, but you know, it sounds like her. I don't know. Should have probably mentioned that sooner, but it is what it is. Anyway, Darwin shows up. Despite everything, Jamie gets really mad because that's what she does at the end of the day. And then she decides to falcon punch Darwin into a literal coma. Darwin wakes up days later in what's probably the ugliest condition he'll ever be in ever. And then that's just kind of the end.
You know, dude, all you had to do was keep your mouth shut and say nothing.
That's it? What? And that was the lowest rated Gumball episode of all time. Was it actually the worst? Well, as someone who hasn't watched the entire series, it's impossible to say. But out of the 4 episodes that I've actually watched, yeah, it's it's pretty bad. Having a whole episode revolve around a side character that isn't enjoyable is usually a bad sign. Also, like other popular cartoons, having the main characters get beat up and tortured is honestly never fun to watch. Stop doing this. Gumball and Darwin are put in these weird situations where they're either scared for their life or in physical pain. I guess that can be kind of funny sometimes. The only thing the first episode I covered really has going for it is that at least it's just Gumball getting tortured. Like Darwin's fine in that one, at least, I guess. And listen, I know it's just a cartoon, and when you write over 200 episodes of a TV show, there's going to be some creative stumps. So although I personally don't like these episodes and would even call them kind of bad, it probably doesn't reflect the show as a whole. I know a lot of people still really like Gumball and are excited for the new season, and that's great to hear. At the end of the day, I'm just a guy talking about stuff that I find interesting. It's really not that deep. Whatever you do, guys, just don't tell Gumball's voice actor. I hear that guy gets mad really easily.
I'll tell you right now.
But yeah, that's the end of the video. If you want to support the channel, consider becoming a member. It starts at only $1 and gets your name at the end of all my future videos here. There's also exclusive members only posts that I make every now and then, and I'm doing my best to get some content out there as well. Thank you to all my current members. The list is really filling up, and I'm super thankful for all your support. Paula Abdul scores this one a solid granny kiss out of 5. And yeah, thanks for watching.